What is Project?
Project, I don't know.
To think about learning differently, to think about what does it mean to be a learner, what does it mean to be a student, what does it mean to have to learn to do things that you don't like to do, but you can do more easily in the right space. What does it mean to be yourself? What's the challenge of being yourself in an environment that doesn't often allow you to be yourself?
I think that the best thing about Project 79 is the fact that they take kids who, quite frankly, at times feel like the traditional school route is not the best thing for them, and they find and they create a welcoming space for them, and to the point where they feel like, school's all right. I can get through the day, I can get through the month, I can get through the year, I can get through 4 years.
Project 79 is Westfield High School's alternative educational program. We are a program that caters to students that want a different academic experience at Westfield High School.
How did it start? Why did it start? Did it accomplish its goals then? And is it accomplishing the goals for now? And I can say that in the history of the 34 years, it has absolutely done that. Because what Project has done is to provide a place, not just a physical place, but a place, a being place, to allow students to figure out what it is they need to do or can do in this place called Westfield High.
Project 79 initially started as an investigation to avoid or to minimize dropout numbers. It has evolved over time to really become a program that is rooted in a clear philosophy about teaching and learning. It is driven to provide the most relevant instruction, to increase student engagement in the content areas that they're studying, and to also be a place for innovation in the approach to teaching and learning. There's a lot of value placed on student contributions and student collaboration in helping teachers develop areas of study or projects or class discussions.
When I joined Project, I came in from a different school sophomore year, and I came in not knowing anybody, not knowing what to expect. I was scared in a way, but I was also excited for a different learning experience.
Project has helped me in school basically by making friends with people I probably wouldn't say hi to in the hallways, and helping me improve my schoolwork and making me work just as hard as anybody else.
We don't believe that there is a typical student and one student that can fit the project mold. Really, there are students that desire to have a different academic experience. They are students that want a different kind of accountability in a classroom, an accountability not just to their teacher and their families at home, but an accountability to their fellow classmates as well. It is a collaborative learning environment, so kids that are interested and willing to take on that kind of challenge fit best in a program like this.
I'm really into project classes because the structure is more abstract. You get a lot more projects and you're more free to work the way you want to, as opposed to working pen and paper kind of style, which is the way that school's presented in most cases, but it's a lot different and it's a lot easier to adapt to.
Okay, so my teaching style outside of Project is a bit more formulaic than inside the program. With the small class sizes in Project 79, I have more of an ability to be flexible in how we approach the content. For example, if students are really interested in the political side of the 1960s, I can really focus on the events of the 1960s in a history classroom through that political lens, where I don't necessarily have that same kind of flexibility in my non-project classes. I think what's really different there is that it comes from student interest. We really try to understand what kids are interested in and to the greatest degree possible tailor their learning experiences around that. It makes those challenges for the areas they're less interested in a little bit easier to tackle because they already have buy-in.
They feel that piece that they just don't connect to their school. A lot of times, you know, I can tell you in previous places I've been, you know, those kids would drop out of school, you know, in a lot of cases, you know. And this provides a different avenue, a different opportunity for kids, for a percent of our population that you know may be the path for them. And if it wasn't for Project 79, you know, they would be doing something else, you know. And I've been able to see kids who came in as freshmen and were completely off the rails, and then by the time they became seniors, are contributing to the school community. They're finding their own place, they're finding their own way, and have become productive members of society as adults.
And as I came in, I started building better relationships with teachers to help me learn the way I needed to learn, to process things better.
To help parents believe that too. Because for every student that enters Project, there's a parent that's taking a leap of faith. And I think getting parents to be supportive of a different kind of timeline and a different kind of attitude towards school and engagement in school makes all the difference in the world. So when I talk to parents at parent nights, and I do all the time, I say, if there's anything I would want for this school, it would be to stop viewing this as a one-lane highway and everybody has to be in the same lane, traveling at the same speed, heading to the same destination. That's just boring.
Okay, well, I think I have a little bit of a unique perspective because I have the parent perspective and I also have the perspective of a parent who is also a teacher in Westfield. And I can kind of see, even with my first grade students and their parents and the bigger climate in the district, about the messages that we promulgate and the messages that you internalize as students.
About the teacher team approach in Project 79, it has positives and negatives depending on the way that you look at it. The positives are that there's increased accountability in ways that some kids don't want. For example, if a kid doesn't do their JRP, a kid's not just going to hear it from their English teacher and from their parents. They're going to hear it from their social studies teacher, their math teacher, their science teacher, the other kids in the classroom. So there's built-in support in a way that you don't really see in the same way outside of the program.
I don't think I would have the support from the teachers as well as the students that I would have if I was in a mainstream course.
That support thing is a really big deal. You don't get that in college, but our kids really want that in high school, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it says a lot about our kids and their willingness to say we want something outside of the packaged deal. I often say our kids are some of the bravest kids in this high school because they're willing to take such a public stand on deciding what it is that they want out of their education. I think that's quite powerful.
Very impressive that the Project 79 students chose for themselves to rally against any misconceptions about the program. And I think as parents, and certainly as educators, it's our responsibility to help dispel those misconceptions, certainly not contribute to them.
To be resilient, to bounce back, to say in my head, I can do this, I can be somebody, I just don't know what that's going to look like yet, but I'm okay. I'm okay.
The teachers give us more attention and that helps whenever I have questions, and I feel less pressure when I want to ask personal questions or something like that.
To sort of grow and learn and prove that you mastered the content of all of these subjects in a way that I don't really necessarily think that your sisters in the more typical mainstream classes were expected to or had to. I think it was one of your classmates that really, I'm quoting him, said, "There's no faking it in the project classes." This really struck a chord with me, that if you're in a small group setting, you can't pretend to really master concepts. You can't pretend to contribute in a meaningful way. You are sort of forced to do it by virtue of the small classes. And I think that's another strength of the program.
And that story is the idea that project allows you to go at your own pace. It says to you, you can get where you want to be on your timeline, not necessarily in this false one that we impose on you. And that, I think, it's a both spoken and unspoken permission to chart your own course, to do that. And to come out of this place not feeling like a failure.
Having 3 different children with obviously 3 different learning styles go through Westfield High School, it becomes more clear to me how impressive it is for any student to kind of follow their own unique path.
And I think project allows you to take a side road, look at the roses, make mistakes. We all make mistakes, but I think for kids who have had a lot of mistakes in school in terms of how they do school, whatever that means, I think in project you can make mistakes and they're not unforgivable, they're not unfixable, they're not, they become part of the learning.
Everyone's pretty open with everything in class. Like, if you say something, you mess up, people aren't gonna terrorize you and laugh at you. So it's a really comfortable place for me.
The project office is a unique space in Westfield High School. No other program has this kind of shared space between teachers and students. It is, to quote our students, the physical home to the metaphorical family of Project 79. It is a place where kids come to do homework, to eat lunch, to socialize, to play chess a lot of the times. It is kind of a catch-all space. It also really is the place where we develop our sense of community. Kids come here and they're able to interact with students that are in all of the 4 different grade levels. It gives an understanding that project is not just your class of 9th graders or your class of 10th graders. It is the 9th through 12th and the teaching staff that works here. It's something that we are very proud of, and it's something that we work really hard to preserve the expectations in.
So the project office is basically the main hub of where all project events happen, but it's also a good and safe place for our Project 79 students to study as well as talk amongst each other.
I think it also provides a place for them to find themselves in a lot of ways. They realize that it's not just them, they're not there by themselves. There are other kids that feel the same way that they do, that they have had similar experiences as them, and they still do okay, and they're going to be fine. So I think that's the biggest thing I've seen with Project 79. And if you talk about watching kids flourish, I think it's those things that have really been really great for them.
It's the best program. I had the best high school experience from it. It's one of the best decisions I've made in my life.
I made some really great friends that I can honestly say that I'll be friends with forever. So projects really changed my life in many ways, and I really encourage more people to join.